Hello friends, a very good evening. First of all, I thank the Indian Arthroscopy Society and its executive committee for giving me the opportunity to talk on this topic of video technique. Today we'll discuss about all inside PCL reconstruction with remnant preservation. Basically, it's a video technique. As all of us know, a PCL is an important restraint to posterotibial translation, and most injuries are successfully treated non-operatively. Only refractory or combined injury cases are treated with the surgical intervention. In the literature, many techniques are known to us: the tibial tunnel technique, tibial inlay technique, single bundle technique, double bundle technique, remnant sacrificing technique, and remnant preservation technique. But no study has demonstrated a clear-cut advantage to any one surgical technique in the literature. Today we'll discuss about the PCL reconstruction by all inside technique with remnant preservation. So why all inside technique? Basically, all inside technique is preferred because it's a bone preserving surgery. What do you mean by bone preserving surgery? Because in this technique, we create sockets instead of tunnels, and which minimizes the bone removal, which decreases the pain and morbidity, and improved ease and options for revision surgeries. Further, it is ideal in multi-ligament reconstruction scenarios when you are doing multiple tunnels. It's a bone preserving surgery and avoid tunnel coagulation also. Use of quadruple SEMITI only graft link reduces the morbidity of using the STG graft which we were using commonly previously. The third is it has a double suspensory fixation with adjustable loop. It has a dual tensioning construct, so we can give maximal pre-tensioning of the graft unlike the traditional technique. Further, we can adjust the tension even after fixation on both femoral and tibial side at the end of the surgery. Because of suspensory fixation on both sides, it allows for 360 degree soft tissue healing all around the tunnel. Next is why a remnant preserving. The very good study is a landmark study by Ahn et al. And the subsequent studies. We know that there is a definite advantage of preserving the remnant of the PCL in PCL reconstruction surgeries. Graft reinforcement prevents stretching and laxity during the healing phase. It heals together with newly reconstructed PCL, giving better mechanical support to the knee. It protects the new graft from killer turn at tibia and aids in better proprioception from the knee because of the presence of mechanoreceptors in the residual remnant. Next, when you are preserving the remnant, then we should bring the graft over and under the stump. Traditionally, it was believed that we should bring the graft under the stump to prevent the twisting of the graft. But by this interesting cadaveric study by Jung et al., they concluded that if PCL is reconstructed with preservation of remnant, the graft should preferably be passed over the stump, that is, and superior to the PCL stump, to preserve the isometry of the graft and to achieve better intra-articular length. So in our technique, we usually bring the graft over the remnant. Some surgical tips: the knee is flexed to 90 degrees throughout the surgery in PCL reconstruction. The most important step is to create the graft link in all inside surgeries, and then we go for measurement and pre-tensioning. We always use the posteromedial portal along with the high anteromedial and anterolateral portal in all inside PCL reconstruction surgeries because it gives us a good viewing as well as working portal. But we pass our graft in the anteromedial portal. Unlike some surgeons, like the study by Dr. Atik, which was published, he passes the graft through the posteromedial portal. But in our technique, always we pass the graft through the anteromedial portal. These are the various tools for PCL reconstruction surgeries. The most important tool is PCL elevator, which creates a nice cleavage plane between the PCL and the posterior capsule, and which is very important as far as the preservation of the neurovascular structures or to avoid the injury to the neurovascular structures are concerned in PCL surgeries. PCL tibial jig for all inside PCL reconstruction is a anatomically contoured jig, and the distal part of this jig, it serves as a neurovascular shield during the drilling technique and prevents the drill to pass through the obstruction created by this jig. Likewise, PCL femoral jig is also anatomically contoured to allow the contouring of for the femoral condyle, so that we can create a tunnel from inside out. Retro rimmer is a very important tool for all inside techniques. Without retro rimmer, we cannot do all inside sockets. So here the cutting part is the end of the retro rimmer, and then it creates the socket in a retrograde fashion, that is from inside out. And we can do the sockets as much as length we wish to. Now coming to the case history, it was a 35-year male presented with posterior knee pain and instability of left knee with a history of injury 7 months back. On examination, there was a abrasion mark on an anterior aspect of the knee. The posterior sag sign was positive. There was loss of tibial step-off. Posterior drawer test was positive. Quadriceps active test was positive. There was no mediolateral or rotatory instability of the knee. On investigating, the X-ray showed no bone injury, no avulsion injuries. Stress X-ray, there was 11 millimeter posterior translation of tibia. Stenogram showed normal alignment of both lower limb, and MRI suggestive of PCL injury without any meniscal, collateral, or chondral injury. So basically, it's a chronic isolated grade 3 PCL injury without any associated injuries. So it was planned for an all inside PCL reconstruction with preservation of the remnant. Now we can go directly to the surgical video. After giving anesthesia, we again recheck the instability. You can see with the posterior drawer, the tibial step-off is clearly fading up. It's going beyond the femoral condyle. So there is a grade 3 laxity, which further substantiated by this slopy ACL sign, which you can see through the scopy. And then you harvest the graft and create the graft link. Now the graft link creation is the most important part, where you are attaching two adjustable loops on either side of the graft link. And then with the help of a fiber wire, you are marking on either side of the graft link. Usually 7.5 to 8 centimeter of the graft link construct we take for all inside PCL reconstruction. Then we go for creation of the window on either side of the remnant PCL, that is lateral window between PCL and ACL. And with saver, we try to create this window, keeping the mouth of the saver towards the PCL, not towards the ACL. And the medial window is between the PCL and the medial femoral condyle. We clear the soft tissue synovium from the PCL. We can take the help of the RF also, so that we can create a nice window which will not obstruct our scope or any other instrument through the medial window. Once nice medial window is created, then the scope is taken inside the posterior compartment, and then we create the posteromedial portal. Usually we create a little higher posteromedial portal. The spinal needle is coming out, and then with the stab knife, we just give a nick on the capsule and pass the switching stick. And then over the switching stick, a clear twisted cannula is deployed with the cannula introducer. Once it is done, then we go through the posteromedial portal and see the remnant of the PCL and bring the saver from the anterior compartment and clear the soft tissue. You can use the RF system to clean the soft tissue from behind the PCL, and very gently and nicely you should clean these soft tissues. Always face your RF system towards the PCL, never towards the capsule, so as not to injure the neurovascular structures. Then we go through the lateral window and clear all the soft tissues and a little bit part of the septum also, so that the graft and other instrument goes swiftly. The PCL elevator, as I have already told, is very important tool. It helps in creating a very good cleavage plane, and we go on creating the cleavage till we see the popliteus, so that the capsule will be totally towards the posterior side and your safe and there is a less chance of injuring the neurovascular structures. Now, marking the tibial exit point, we mark the tibial exit point on the distal part of the remnant PCL so as not to injure the entire remnant. So we usually keep this jig, PCL tibial jig, which is coming through the lateral window over this marking, and this mark is just distal to the center of attachment of the PCL. Now this jig is anatomically controlled and protect the neurovascular structure from the flip cutter, which is coming through the tibia, and we can see the flip cutter directly under vision, and then we flip the flip cutter. Usually with good amount of remnant, 8 to 9 millimeter graft is enough, but without remnant, you should have at least 10 millimeter thickness of the graft. And the flip cutter should touch the bone, that is the most important part. Then we start creating the socket and assess the length measurement of the socket by the marking outside. Then you take the flip cutter inside, unflip it, and take it outside. Usually 25 to 30 millimeter of the socket is created on the tibial side. Once it is out, then we pass the pin with suture or fiber stick as you wish through that socket, and the suture is retrieved through the lateral window into the anterior compartment. Once it is retrieved, then we mark the PCL femoral point, which is little higher and as close to the cartilage as possible. Now PCL femoral jig is placed over the marking. Basically, we are reconstructing the AL bundle in this technique. So we keep our jig at the intended point and pass the retroremer from outside into the joint. Once it comes out inside the joint, then we take out the jig and see whether the retroremer is bang on the target. So it's on the target. Then we flip the retroremer and take it up to the bone. Always remember, take the flip cutter up to the bone, feel the bone, and then you start creating retro sockets. So once it is up to the bone, we create the retro sockets and measure the socket from the marking outside. Usually 15 to 20 millimeter of the femoral socket is enough in this technique. So once it is done, then again you take the flip cutter inside the joint, unflip it, take it outside, and clear all the debris, and then pass the pin with suture inside the joint. Then we deploy the passport cannula to prevent the intertwining of the suture during suture management. So through the passport cannula, we retrieve the tibial leading suture outside, and then we retrieve the femoral leading suture. Once the femoral leading suture we have retrieved, then we load this adjustable loop graft link construct over the tibial leading suture and pull it inside the tibial tunnel and take it outside. Once it is outside, we pull it further till the button is going through the tibial tunnel and outside the cortex. Once the button is outside the cortex and you see it and clear it from the soft tissues, then with toggling movement, you just tension the graft and pass the graft through the tibial tunnel. You can take the help of a probe just to deflate the ACL for smooth passage, or you can use a Wissinger rod from the posteromedial portal. You can see it from the posteromedial portal also. Once it is inside the tibial tunnel, then the femoral sutures are pulled in the femoral tunnel. Now the leading suture is pulling this adjustable loop. Now all the sutures of the adjustable loop are pulled together till our button is outside the cortex as marked. You can see under vision how the button is going inside the tunnel by taking your scope further inside. And Once it is just outside, then you do the toggling movement to take the tendon inside the femoral socket. So the graft is going inside the femoral socket with the toggling movement up to the required mark. Then on the tibial side, you give the anterior force to create the tibial step off and tension the graft with the toggling movement. So this is the all inside reconstructed PCL with remnant preservation with good tension on the ACL. The beauty of this technique is after fixation also, at the end, you can further fine tune your tension of the PCL graft by giving little bit of anterior drawer, and you can recreate the step off you want to do as compared to the opposite side. This is the post-op X-ray, and the post-op protocol is pretty similar to the traditional PCL reconstruction. Here we are going for early mobilization, that is knee flexion in prone position as soon as possible, and rest of the rehab protocol is same as that of traditional PCL reconstruction. We never allow the sporting movement before 6 months. So usually after 6 to 9 months of good rehab, we allow sporting movement. Thank you all for the opportunity again, and thank you IS for the opportunity. Thanks a lot.